All right, this is problem, I call it number 3 from the 3-7 to 3-9 practice worksheet. These are just absolute value equations that I wanted you to get a little practice with. So let's start out here. The directions state, solve each of the following equations. Be sure to show your work carefully and check your answers. Okay, so we just worked on that on the previous problems as well. Let's look at letter A. Okay, we have the absolute value of 4x minus 3 is equal to 13. So with this, right, our absolute value brackets are by themselves, right? We don't have anything going on the outside. So because of that, we can think of this as what two numbers have an absolute value equal to 13? Well, I know that negative 13, when I plug it in there, the absolute value of negative 13 is equal to 13. And then if I plug in positive 13, right, the absolute value of positive 13 is 13. So what we do is we take this equation and we're going to rewrite it twice without the absolute value brackets. The first one should be 4x minus 3 equals 13. And our second equation should be 4x minus 3 equals the opposite of that, so negative 13. So just trying to emphasize, what we had inside our absolute values came out. We didn't leave absolute values around them. So let's just go ahead and solve them. We're going to add 3 to each side. We've got 4x is going to equal 16. We're going to divide it by 4. And x ends up equaling 4. For the second one, we're going to add our 3. We now have 4x is going to equal negative 10. And then when we divide it by 4, we're going to get x equals, so 4 goes into 10 twice with 2 left over, so we'll say negative 2.5. So you should end up with 2 answers on that one. Let's do the same thing now with B. Let's take it, set it up. We've got the absolute value of negative 7x is going to equal 21, which means that negative 7x either equals 21 or negative 7x would equal negative 21. So we take it and let's solve it, right? This one's a lot more basic. So we've got x is going to equal negative 3. And then on the second one, right, we're still going to divide by negative 7. That's still going to leave us with an x. But in this case, a negative 21 divided by a negative 7 should be a positive 3. So there are the 2 answers. Letter C, we have the absolute value of 15 plus x equals negative 6. Well, surprise, we got to be looking for this, right? Negative 6 isn't going to work there. So we've got to say that this one has no solutions because an absolute value cannot equal a negative. All right, let's look at D. This one, the value is positive, right? So we know that we can actually do this. So since there's nothing else happening here, we'll just take it and break it into our 2 equations. We've got x divided by 2 plus 4 should equal 16. And then we should have x divided by 2 plus 4 equals negative 16. And now we can look to solve those, right? We're going to subtract 4 from each side. We now have 12 is going to equal x divided by 2. How do we undo x being divided by 2? Well, we multiply it by 2, and then we do the same thing on the other side. So that cancels our 2's and leaves us with x equals 12 times 2 is 24. Then let's get our second answer. We're going to go ahead and subtract 4 from each side. We now have x divided by 2 is going to equal negative 20. And then we can take this one as well and get rid of that 2 by multiplying each side by 2. And we get x is going to equal negative 40. And those are our two answers. Okay, so if you have any additional questions, please let me know. I will still run through the challenge problem here if anybody wants to know how to do it. But I don't know. You can ask about it in class if you don't understand it. So for the challenge, we have 3 times the quantity of s minus 2, and that's in absolute value brackets, minus 5 equals 7. So our goal here is we need to make this equation look like all of these equations up here. We need the absolute value to be by itself. So in order to do that, we are going to take it, we need to get rid of the stuff that's on the outside. We'll get rid of our minus 5 first. We're going to add 5 to each side. So now we've got 3 times the absolute value of s minus 2 is going to equal 12. Next step into isolating those absolute values is we're going to divide each side by 3. So we have the absolute value of s minus 2 is going to equal right now 4. And now it looks like all of our equations from above. So we'll take it and we'll use this s minus 2. We'll say s minus 2 is going to equal 4. And we'll say s minus 2 should equal negative 4. And then we'll just solve, right? Add 2, add 2. And we now have s is equal to 6. On the second one, we're going to add 2 and add 2. And we'll get that s is going to equal negative 2. So there are the two answers for this one. Okay, remember, you can always take any of those and plug them back in for x to double check that it makes the statement true. If it doesn't make the statement true, then it is not a correct answer. That's it for this assignment. Hopefully this helped you. Thanks for watching.